Hello everybody, and thanks for watching my video. This is number 40 for the Ketogenic Fasting Project, and today we're talking about a book called Studies in Deficiency Disease. Now, I'd heard about this book here and there, and you can still order copies of it online. I don't believe it's in print anymore, and you can find PDFs of it floating around the interweb. So um, anybody can read it. It's a little bit of a dry book. It's mostly having to do with animal studies, but it's a good read if you don't mind a little bit of tedium. The book itself really was a culmination of other publications that were put in peer-reviewed journals, and the author Robert McCarrison wanted the information to be more widely available to the public. And of course, it's from 1921, so it was much harder to get a hold of peer-reviewed journals and stuff back then. Sorry about that. So, anyways, he put this book together and he expanded a little bit. So I heard it referenced in a couple of other books that I read, and I believe it's come up in some podcasts here and there. So time to check it out. The uh, the the book itself doesn't necessarily have anything to do with ketogenics or a carnivore diet, but it does point out some of the groundwork that kind of leads everybody in the direction of the low carb diet, because it talks about how a lot of the maladies of people who eat white bread and whatnot are already well known in 1921. So I I'm kind of amazed that a study like this went on. It was widely published, widely widely addressed in peer-reviewed articles, and yet we still seem to have a reluctance, 100 years later, to accept some of these concepts. Now, you can also see the flip side. We're looking at an age when vitamins are being discovered, previously not really known, and so they're looking at it. They're looking at food from a vitamin content perspective. So as you can see, they think meat is poor in vitamins, but of course they don't study anybody on an all meat diet. So um, they're looking at it in terms of um, what exactly the effects are of little or no vitamins in an animal that's fed primarily rice. So, and that rice has been autoclaved so that the vitamins have been destroyed. So, but you will notice here that in this quote that um, they're talking about anemia, acne, and I'm gonna try to say a seborrhea, which is oily skin. I guess that's when you get a lot of fluid coming out of the sebaceous cells in the skin. And also vague psychosis. What? Yeah, so this comes up a lot in keto and carnivore and low carb. People who have depression and seem to see it improve. People with anxieties tend to see it improve. People tend to have a greater all feeling of well-being when they move to these diets. And here we see somebody noting that they know that certain foods are known to induce vague psychosis. Pretty interesting, right? So, in fact, you could see here, I believe it says right here, white bread and margarine in particular, you know. So there you go. You'll see that these guys are looking at plants, vegetables, and they're seeing vitamins in them, and they think that they're generally lacking in meat. At the same time, they really emphasize drinking milk and eggs. So, but they also do talk about you got to eat flesh and fats and all that. So now they use a number of different animals in their study. The first round apparently was pigeons. So they bought rice from different locale to see what which they basically starving the animals of vitamins. So they feed them a certain type of rice and basically count the number of days it takes to kill them. So I don't know that it necessarily matters to us which types of rice took longer to kill the animals or not. But when the doctor was hired, he was really hired to do research on diets for, I believe, for the military and for the population in India in general. So they were very interested in that. But the book was written for a different purpose other than our modern low carb diet. So now the experiments started with pigeons, and then they moved on to guinea pigs and monkeys and all sorts of other animals. So I thought it was a little strange that they're changing up the diet by adding in onions and butter. And I'm thinking, why would you feed a pigeon onions and butter? I'm pretty skeptical about feeding that to monkeys and guinea pigs too. But to them, that was a way of controlling essentially the macronutrients. But I never really thought of onions as being particularly nutritious, and butter is pretty much a fuel, right? So I'm not really sure what the deal was with that, with the logic with that. So, and I didn't really see it explained in the book, so maybe I missed it. See, the butter seems to kill pigeons and monkeys faster than the rice alone, which I just thought was weird. But anyways, they did basically different experiments where they wanted to see what basically a deficiency in vitamin A, B, and C on D. I forgot to put D in there. What would do to animals, and they basically just looked at it in terms of how long it took them to die or get so close to death that they had to put them down. So you can see here, it did matter, how old the animal was. In some cases, young animals were more susceptible, and in some cases, older ones were. So, but they're curious about not only what would happen when you fed them different things, but how old they were and how much they weighed, of course. So, there's a lot of interesting data like that in here. I don't think the book was quite as exciting as I thought it would be, but if you like these historical, medical books, it's definitely worth a read. So it'll keep you going for a while. Of course, after a while, you feel bad for all the animals that starved to death eating autoclaved rice. Such a strange thing, but it also kind of sets a tone for what we believe these days. As far as especially what people in a carnivore diet look at as propaganda as far as plant food being good for you. Of course, these people weren't studying lectins or any of the other proteins in the plants, any of the other defense mechanisms of the plant. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please pass the videos around so more people get to enjoy them. And I hope the information was useful for somebody out there. So stay healthy. Take care.